that you have all done, especially during COVID times, to taking these important key information to all the communities in so many languages. So thank you so for doing that. As I said, today I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Minister Paul Calandra, to talk about the provincial planning statement. And we also have my friend and colleague, MPP Billy Pang, MPP from Markham Unionville, and also a parliamentary assistant to Minister of Education. After my remarks, he will also provide his remarks, and then we will go on to Minister Calandra for his remarks regarding provincial planning statement. And then Sharon and myself will open the floor for the questions. Having said that, I also want to highlight the fact as a associate Minister of Housing, I'm working closely with Minister Calandra to bring ready-made home, modern modular home strategies. For example, to build homes faster with new technologies that are emerging from across the world and also here at home at Ontario. Modular technology, panelized volumetric, 3D technology, to have these technology, to use all the tools in the toolbox to make sure we build homes faster. We want to provide speed in providing homes to reach our target of 1.5 million homes in the next decade. So I'm working closely with Minister Calandra on that a ready-made home, modern modular home technology as well. So if there's any questions, just please wait, and then and I'm sure you already provided some questions to Shannon prior to starting this meeting. But if you're going to have questions moving forward, message her, at least notify her, and she will go by first come first basis, as she already have some questions in the pipeline. Having said that, it's my honor to next introduce MPP Billy Pang and our PA to Ministry of Education to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Thandakasalam. And again, thank you to all of you who are coming today. We are happy to answer any of your questions regarding our new PPS or what our government is doing to get home built faster, with a goal of getting at least 1.5 million homes built by 2031. And you know, as well as I do, that every single one of those homes is needed. Our approach is simple. We know there are too many barriers to building homes. We have been moving these barriers and reducing costs wherever we can. We are taking a target approach to remove obstacles our partners face in building homes. Our focus is on cutting red tape so that we can get out of the way and help our partners build more homes faster. We are speeding up approvals and make it easier and cheaper to build homes. We will provide our partners with the tools that they need to succeed. And we will focus on reducing red tape, keeping costs down, and building infrastructure so that we can get more homes built. Thanks again. And now I'll hand it over to Minister Calandra.
Thanks, Billy, and Minister Thandakasalam. Thank you all for being here. It's I can see a couple of people on the screen. Bill, good to see you, and Logan and Sarah, good to see each of you. I think my colleagues said it well. Like VJ, I and Billy were actually working very, very closely together on the file, because when you build more homes, you also have to have the schools in place for them. So it really is a full team effort. But when you talk about the provincial planning statement, what it is it's an overriding document that guides how municipalities will consider building across the province of Ontario. And it is also a document that helps guide the Ontario Land Tribunal in instances where disputes might get to them. What we've done with this is we have focused it a lot. So it is 30,000 words shorter than it was before, and 100 pages shorter as well. because we focus on really getting shovels in the ground and removing obstacles towards doing that. It will save municipalities across the province thousands of hours, and those who build homes in our communities, not just homes, but jobs as well, opportunities for jobs across the province as well. It will save them time and make it easier for them to deal with municipalities and to better understand what it take to get a shovel in the ground. So it is a very, very, very important document. So we did a lot of work leading into this, a lot of bills which were focused on getting that work started. The provincial planning statement now really is the last step, the next step to unleashing this opportunity across the province, because we heard from a lot of people that we had to update that statement so that it was more uniform across the province, so people knew what they had to, what to expect when they were investing in the province of Ontario. And really the work that Minister Thanagasalam will do on the modular side will really have such an amazing impact across the province. And again, Billy and I know actually all three of us, our communities are growing so fast, and we've got to make sure that we can meet the demand. So we've really worked hard together on bringing this forward. And I think we're all pretty excited by where we've landed. So I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Thanagasalam, and then if there are other questions, we'll just I'm prepared to take any questions along with my colleagues. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Minister Calandra, for your remarks, and thank you, PA Pang, as well. Now, I will turn it over to Shannon to moderate the question period. However, if there's any other comments like media wants to make before they ask the questions, feel free to do so, and we will go from there. So, Shannon,
all right.
please take it.
Perfect. Thank you. So first question, I'm going to go to Sarah with VIP 51.
Thanks, Shannon. Hello, Minister. Hello, everyone. So yeah, with the Ontario's population is growing, and there may be some concerns of the resident that building more homes may increase the higher density in some area. So my question is, will the government have a plan to make sure the infrastructure and the public spaces in the schools can keep the pace with the where the municipalities are going to build more homes? Thank you.
I'll start off, colleagues, and then if there's anything, please jump in. But yeah, that's an excellent question, Sarah, because that's really the focus. A lot of the focus of the planning statement was on that. So we want to focus the density around transit and transportation networks, and where we already have existing infrastructure in place, because you literally hit the nail on the head. Let's focus it to where we have the resources already, where people have built up communities. So this allows us to do that, but it also then allows us in those areas where we might not have that, what is it that we needed to do to unleash opportunity in those areas for jobs and new homes, with always a focus on working with education, which is a high priority on this, because there's no point in building if you don't have the schools. So it's a double approach. More density along those areas where you already have it, reutilizing underused spaces. And I always use a Scarborough example, because I was I grew up in Scarborough, and those plazas, we have a lot of plazas in Scarborough and in Markham, big, huge plazas, store on the bottom, apartments on the top. So it makes it easier for us to reutilize that space so that we can keep the stores, but build up higher, because they're usually on transit transportation routes. So a really, really good question. Focus on where we have the infrastructure, and where we don't, that's where PA Pang and his colleagues come in. These are where the schools need to be. This is where we can unleash it. And then ultimately as well, it's building all types of homes, and that is really where Minister Thanagasalam, he has got a huge lift on this. Maybe he could talk about it further, but changing how we build homes as well, to understand the labor shortage, and unleashing modular and those opportunities in other parts that's where the he comes in. So that was a really, really good question because it is really focused on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Our Minister Changasalam, I just wanted to, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Minister Calandra, for that. So, since I joined Minister Calandra with the Ministry of Housing, I have like crisscrossed the province to understand how we can enable the environment in this province to have this new modular ready-made home industry where we can build more houses, not on the side as traditionally built, but in the factory, in the manufacturing factories where we can build these modular ready-made homes with less cost, less dust, less waste, and then we can bring it to the site through transportation means, and then we can build it faster because Minister Calandra and Premier Ford wants to get things done. They want to build homes faster. When we need speed, we got to use all the technology out there, including the emerging technologies like 3D panelized options as well. There are other jurisdictions they uses very successfully. Now, Minister Calandra wants to incorporate that here in Toronto so that we can provide choices. We can provide choices for the people how and where they want to go and find the dream of their home. And so that's what we are working on, working with modular facilities in manufacturers and builders to see we can bring more options and choices for people. And I mean, having said that, there are so many different technology, but we are encouraging builders, manufacturers to come set up shop here in Ontario, to invest here in Ontario, and also embrace the new technology as our government encouraging. And also, like Minister Calandra mentioned, that there are a lot of malls, plazas out there, and these are the areas that we want to encourage to build more homes so that people can access transportation, access wherever they need to go very faster, but also get the home that they always want to buy, especially as a millennial who wants to have the own home, wants to achieve the dream of reality of owning the home. I think having these different measures, using all the tools in the tools box, will definitely take it to that step. So again, I'm so pleased to have this modular piece working with Minister Calandra, because that will definitely be one of the options when it comes to for the future of housing, not just for this generation, but for generations to come. Back to you, Shannon.
All right, thank you. So next I'm going to go to Khalid Salama with My Second Home TV.
Thank you, Shannon. Mr. Calandra, Mr. Trudeau published a video offering a solution to housing crisis in Canada by leasing Crown unused lands. I know that this is a recycled proposal, actually by the Conservatives. How do you elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It is something that look, I welcome the announcement that that they're going to make efforts to unleash some of the federal lands as well for different types of housing. It's something we've been doing. We've been doing that for long-term care as well, and I think there's more that we can do also on making those our own lands available. So we've been successful on the long-term care side, on affordable housing. And more can be done. So I welcome that announcement. I think both levels of government have more we can do. And we've heard a lot. One of the things we heard at the AMO conference, I know both my colleagues will probably agree with me, is that the municipal governments also want to be involved in how they use their excess land to build more homes as well, which was so nice to hear, to be honest with you. It was very refreshing at AMO. I gotta tell you, to have the municipalities, all of them, large and small, say, okay, we get it. We want to be involved. And how do we also use our surplus lands and get it out there quicker And we have a couple of really good examples in Ontario. Leamington, Ontario, which through PA Pang's ministry, a surplus school site, and then turned it into affordable housing. They've turned it into market rentals. So we're finally getting the uptake that we needed on this, and the PPS really allows it to remove the obstacles. And the other thing too, through Vijay's, Minister Thanagasalam's work, we're all finally starting to see uptake on the modular side as well, the different ways of building. But so yeah, I welcome the announcement. It took a long time, and we were kind of hoping that we get more of a good announcement. Municipalities on board, and we're all moving finally in the right direction. And it's kind of the good thing about it is you're able to use the government-owned lands to build all types of housing, right? It really helps unleash rentals. It helps unleash affordable housing, some of the attainable housing, as well as market housing, and in our instance, long-term care homes as well, right? So all that to say, I'm glad they finally are and that they identified sites to get it going, right? I think that was also important.
Yeah, but Mr. Calandra, long-term care homes are a little bit different, but even conservative yesterday described this move as making everyone happy and leaving them with nothing, owning nothing, because leasing long-term, that means you don't own the house. That means he is bluffing. So are you?
I agree with you on that.
Also, please,
no,
let me ask the question.
Yeah.
So if he is bluffing, are you endorsing his bluffing?
No, what I say is this: I'm glad that they're making the land available for homes to be built on. But one of the things that we have always said is that it has to be all types of homes, right? It has to be, you have to build affordable homes. You've got to build long-term care homes. But people still have the dream of single detached home ownership of their own, right? You can't take that away from people. So when we use our lands, it is for all types of homes. You are correct. I was a bit surprised at the leasing aspect of it, that they were going to lease it for a number of years, because I don't think you can separate the people's desire and the dream of home ownership, which allows them to build equity and allows them to move up. And that's the one disagreement I think that we have with the federal government consistently when it comes on housing policy, is that they are focused on one aspect of housing when we feel that we should be focused on all aspects of housing. There should be purpose-built rentals, yes. There should be affordable housing, yes. But there should also be home ownership as a major part of this equation. And when you use government lands to allow for home ownership options, it reduces the cost. Look, you can deliver that land at a lower cost, which makes it more affordable and attainable for people to buy into, right? And that has been, you're 100% right. It has been the hallmark of our policy that it has to include all forms of housing. And we argue back and do not participate unless it includes all forms of housing, including home ownership. It's a very valid point on your part. A really, really good point. Listen, I say this all the time. If we get sick of hearing it, my parents came here in the 60s, 58. My dad came 1960. My mom joined. My mom, she told me that she was depressed for 10 years when she came to Canada, because she came in the summer, and then she didn't realize how cold it was going to be. But they didn't come here to leave. They started off as renters, but their dream was owning a home. And like, they started off on the Danforth, my 4 uncles, like in a room on the Danforth, and then one by one they helped each other peel off and own a home, and that was their dream. And anybody who says that shouldn't be our end result, I think you hit 100% hit the nail on the head. Sorry, I get all passionate about it, because you're right. That is people's dreams. It might not start that way, but that's where we have to give them the dream of ending up.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll answer more short in the going forward. I promise. I apologize for that long. You just got me all worked up. You got me all fired up. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Minister. And I'll just say, Minister Thanagasalam and PA Pang, anytime you want to jump in, just unmute, raise your hand, and I'll stop. So next I'm going to go to Bill with Greca TV.
Thank you, Shannon. Good to see Ministers Pang and Minister Calandra, good to see you again. Before I ask you my main question, am I correct in thinking that the PPS policy has the force of law, that it's under the cutting red tape to build more homes act? Is that correct?
It's a separate document entirely, but it does have the full force of the law. We did highlight it as part of 185, 100%, that we were intending on coming forward with the full PPS, but it does have all of the many of the things that we talked about in Bill 185. Bill, you're absolutely
Yes.
right. Were then put into the PPS as well to ensure that both had the full force of law. You're 100% right on that.
Yes, and I understand it replaces the former two policies in the area, and the government has invested more than $1.2 billion in this area. And I'm also aware that you spoke very recently with at the conference of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, as did many of your colleagues and many parliamentary assistants in the last 2 years, had over 700 consultation meetings for this policy to evolve to the point that you released it now. But my question is, how did the mayors in their majority respond to the PPS, despite, of course, the criticism of the Liberals in Ontario, that their critics said that it's a half-baked failure policy that enriches more the wealthy builders and does not create affordable housing for seniors and youth?
Can I start, colleagues, and then if you want it, I chuckled. You know what? I laughed at the criticism from my colleagues, only in the sense that, come on, like we had spent a lot of time consulting with our municipal partners, with stake home builders, and with communities on what did we have to do to unleash opportunity. Every bill that we've done since 2018, the Housing Supply Action Plan, was meant to help unleash, and the provincial policy statement is that final document. So the document that we replaced, you're right, the document was two other documents, 30,000 words longer, 100 pages longer, which only confused people. And then we went the extra step as well. You're right, the mayors, they're not all happy about it, because some mayors, let's be honest, Bill, you know this, some mayors, they don't want to see their communities change. They don't necessarily want the population and the housing to be built, and they'll put obstacles in the way. Right? So not all were happy about it, but by and large, we have been very, very well received from the home builders, from municipalities across the province, and the vast majority of the stakeholders. And then what we also did, and this is where PA Pang's ministry came, like, it was very clear, and Sarah alluded to it, like, you can't be doing stuff like this. You can't be adding homes unless you're identifying that you're going to be building schools as part of it and making it easier. So that's there. And then Sarah, I didn't answer this one question you'd asked, but it was backstopped by $3 billion worth of infrastructure, because there's no point in us saying build more, build more, build more, unless we help them get the sewer and water capacity in the ground that we have been talking about for months. And we had talked about, Minister Thanagasalam and I had talked about, $1.5 billion worth of it. The Premier then literally doubled that and said, like, we can't just stop at 1.5. We're going to hit our numbers. Let's get $3 billion worth of infrastructure out there. So the PPS is important, but it's backed up by the largest single investment in infrastructure to get sewer and water in the ground that this province has seen. And Khalid, just a follow-up to him, it is one thing that we talked about, Bill, like we keep saying to the federal government, we can have all these boutique programs, this and that, but every province is united in the fact that if they would put the money that they are setting aside to infrastructure, sewer, and water capacity across the country, we would deliver 3 to 4 million homes Canada-wide if they would help us with the infrastructure. Instead, we've had to go it alone, and we're doing it. But the challenges is we have, especially with my Liberal colleagues, to say this: the challenges that we have building homes now uh, 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 are because of the challenges that and the obstacles and red tape that were put in the way by the previous government. Full stop. And Vijay, sorry, Minister Thanigasalam, nobody ever talked about modular housing or changing how we built homes in the province of Ontario. And now we have a minister responsible, and same with PA Pang. Like nobody ever talked about, oh well, you got to build the school while you're building the homes. Like what a novel concept! Everybody in the world, all of you probably know that's common sense. But these two members were able to get it in the statement and get it done. So, Bill, you're smarter at you guys are all smarter at a lot of this stuff. A lot of it's common sense, right? And it's putting common sense in practice, frankly. Minister Thanigasalam, I've gone on too long. I'll turn it over to you.
No, thank you, Minister. Yeah, I would like to add on to what Minister Calandra stated. I personally had a consultation and delegations at the AMO conference and spoke to numerous mayors, wardens, councillors. And one common theme I've been hearing when it comes to housing is that we are going in the right direction. Like it's like a province is partnering up with municipal leaders to enabling the environment. And when it comes to PPS, for the Bill's question, it is definitely that reducing that red tape and streamlining the planning rules. Overall, when it comes to like people, doesn't matter, like regardless of age, whether you go, whether it's in Scarborough or Stouffville, when you go read all the comments on Instagram, you see that people like, hey, you know what, we need to attain ownership. We want to buy, own, whether it's millennials or people who are working hard, double shift, and they just want the approval process, the simplify the approvals. And that's what this does with the municipalities and increase the flexibility for those municipalities so they can better reflect the needs that they are getting from ground, from the local, from the needs of the local communities. And by also PPS does eliminate the duplications. Like Minister Calandra said, reducing this many 100 pages, 30,000 words from previously, it was done by consultation with multi-ministerial approach for last 4 years with 3 consultation, including with indigenous communities. So it went through a rigorous process to eliminate a lot of duplication, and we had mandatory studies, and so this is coming after a very rigorous of process and planning. And we heard from AMO, we are going in the right direction, where municipal councillors and mayors were like thanking for the formula for the building faster fund. At the same time, want to encourage us how they can help our government and how we can work as a partners. AMO, a lot of like dialogue was like partnership with our municipal leaders. So when I have a lot of cousins in my age, they actually live in Minister Calandra's riding in Stouffville. When we do get together, we talk about, do we even achieve by owning a house like the last generation did in the community? The owning a house for millennials is still a big question mark. But we can see the economy here. It's like there's a more demand and less supply. And that's why Premier Ford and Minister Calandra is driving this message to build more houses and enabling all the 444 municipalities to come on board, enable the environment so that they can all reduce this red tape so they can allow the local communities to build. So this is a bottom-up approach. We are hearing from municipalities, hearing from people across the board. We need more supply, we need more homes. And that's why Minister Calandra and Premier Ford having me to work on the technology side of the housing to bring all the technology to Ontario so we can speed up in that process as well. For very simple example, I'll pass it to MPP Pang, that how we've been building cars in the manufacturers. We are looking at so many possible options in Ontario to build houses in factories, well quality and very secured, very good looking houses, and assemble on site with a faster process. And this has been done in other countries. 80% of some countries' houses are built using these technologies. So this is not new technology. We're trying to bring them to Ontario. This is the first government is trying with a full effort to get that done. So we are using all the tools box, and the message we are hearing from the mayors and councillors also, let's keep going in that right direction. Let's get more homes built. Having said that, let me pass it on to P.A. Pang if she has any comments.
Yeah, thank you, ministers, for your hard work working on this PBS. I can still remember when I first landed Canada in year 2000 as I ran a basement. And I came from Hong Kong, so we have light pollution. I never heard of night light. So I can still remember the first night I lay down on my bed and turn the light off. I feel buried alive because I cannot see my hands in the dark because there was no light. So it was so memorable that I need to work hard to live a better life. So later on, after I get married, I bought a small condominium and then moved forward. And I have no objection to high rises because I lived in 32nd story when I was in Hong Kong. And with a lot of transit that from point to point, I don't need to wet my feet, even raining cats and dogs outside. I just walk down to the subway and go to work or go to shop. So from my perspective as a parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Education, I can see why I moved to this community that I'm staying because of the school. Because there are good schools here, that's why I moved here. So our government budget 16 billion for the coming 10 years to build more schools, because we know that when the population grows, more people come here, they need schools, more children, right? And they not only need schools, they need good schools. So we are planning to build school faster, modernize our strategy to build schools so that when students move into the community, they can engage in the education sooner, faster, and high quality education. And this is why we are working closely with the Minister of Municipality to build schools. We have a strategy, right? We all know that, we all heard that when you build it, they will come. So on one hand, we build more homes. On the other hand, we build more schools so that we work hand in hand, cross ministry, to build a stronger Ontario. Thank you.
All right. So thank you. Next, I'm going to go to Jaslyn at PTC Punjabi.
Hello, Minister. Thank you so much for your time. My question is, almost a year ago, housing advocates launched a campaign calling for anti-renovation bylaws to be established across the regions. I understand this is a municipal issue, but is Ontario government planning anything to protect tenants from the renovations?
So yeah, no, some of the municipalities have taken the lead on this, depending on their local circumstances. My short-term goal, Jasmine, sorry, I don't remember who asked the question. I don't see it on screen, but if I got that name wrong, I apologize. Short-term goal is I want to make sure that working with Minister Downey, that we get the landlord-tenant board on track where it needs to be for both landlords and for tenants. I think right now we're still at the point where we're having backlogs, and I'm hearing from both tenant advocates, and from landlords that it is at this point still not meeting their need in terms of how quickly we're able to process and deal with cases in front of the landlord-tenant board. So that in the short term, if I'm being honest with you, is my number one goal, is making sure that the board can properly and quickly deal with the cases that are in front of it. Bad landlords should be handled harshly. Bad tenants should be handled in much the same way. And I think once we have done that, it then really allows us the opportunity, and we're still catching up from COVID, to be honest with you. But that's not an excuse. It really is not an excuse. We got to fix this. Yeah. And once we have accomplished that goal, I think it then allows you the ability to go back in and say, okay, look, This is what we're hearing from tenants. This is what we're hearing from landlords. And what are the next steps in ensuring that we have a system that treats everybody fairly? Right now, I know municipalities are doing it based on their circumstances. For me and for Minister Downey, it really is about getting the board back to where it needs to be, hitting that 90-day standard that I think is so important to ensuring that people want to also get back into being landlords. I think that's part of the reason why people go to Airbnb, frankly. And the other thing is working with the feds to, reconsider this capital gains issue when it comes to rental properties. Most of our landlords are mom and pop landlords, who have made investments, and we have to better protect those mom and pop. For my parents were that, they had a store on the bottom, and so that's my goal in the short term, to be honest with you. I am looking at, I am reviewing some of those municipalities. I know Hamilton's brought some for. I know this is particularly acute in some parts of Brampton and Peel region, and even in some parts of our area. I think Billy and VJ will both concede. It's not a cop-out. I got to get that board back on track, back to the standards that I think both landlords and tenants deserve, and that's my short-term focus.
All right, thank you, Minister, and you did pronounce my name correctly. Thank you for that.
Oh.
All right, thank you. So this is the last question that I have. If I've missed anybody, please just send me a message. But with that, I'm going to go to Logan with Udayan Newspaper.
Yes, good evening, Minister Paul, Minister Vijay, and MPP Billy Pank, to see you today. But we don't understand today's initiative is very tough and challengeable, and get more homes built faster is a challenging initiative. I know how pressure you are working under. I can see from the both faces, not like other times, Minister.
Logan, VJ still looks good. So does Billy, but VJ always looks good. No matter how hard he works, I don't know how the hell he does it. He always looks good. I got these. VJ looks spectacular, like a movie star all the time. Billy, I'm sorry. That's just what happens. We're getting old. VJ still looks great.
It's always good. He's my neighbor. So the recent announcement by the government of Canada, they are going to reduce the temporary workers. In Canada, we all understand that the temporary workers are identified in two sectors. One is farm workers and building. Skilled building industry, skilled workers for the building industry, for the home industry, home building. So, what is the strength in order to proceed with this initiative? Building faster. How you feel you have enough skilled workers, construction workers in the province, or how we are going to manage this according to the announcement made by the federal government about the temporary workers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I just came back, Logan, from Timmins just this morning, and you wouldn't think it, but there are a lot of temporary workers in Timmins helping us on the mining side and some of the service industries out there. And one of the things when the Premier asked me a year ago to take on this role, you can't separate. Look, I'm a child of immigrants, and I know what happens, right? You know what happens. You know that we need workers. You know that we need immigration to this country because we will not do what we can accomplish without them. And I knew a year ago that if we didn't meet our targets of building 1.5 million, that it would be the immigrants who were at fault. They're taking up all of the homes. That's why we don't have enough. And I knew that it was so important that we start hitting these targets of building homes and getting these, because I almost can remember this when I was a kid. in the 70s growing up in parts of Scarborough. You know, as the Italians are taking up too much space. They're all, but you know what? It was Italians who were helping build the roads and the you know the Greek community. Like and you look generation after generation, it has been immigrants who have helped us build this country. So this is why I'm so passionate about meeting these targets, Logan, because we need these people. We need temporary workers. We need them to also then become Canadian citizens. But if we don't have housing for them, we're not living up to our end of the bargain. That's why my parents came here, because they knew that they could get a home and have a dream of home ownership one day. Does it have to be balanced? Yes. You know, not letting us be aware of the fact that, you know, 800,000 people were going to be coming to the province of Ontario in 1 year. That made it very, very, very difficult to accommodate. But it's not their fault. We need them, right? So it is just how the federal government goes about bringing people to this country. So to make sure that to the province, and we know that a vast majority of them are going to come into the GTA where we need them most, frankly. But we need temporary farm workers everywhere. As I said, I was just in Timmins. Much of the service industry up there, if it wasn't for the workers, they would not be open. The mining sector would not be open. So it is so. That's one of the reasons why we're so focused on getting these homes and reducing duplication and reducing the red tape that is in the way of this. I look at some of my areas, like Bill, you'll know that the St. Pantaleamo and Billy's riding. Look at the space around that. That could be homes as well, right? And you have built-in opportunity. Look at the Tamil community and the Chinese community. Like I look at my riding, Monshong, right around a long-term care home. The community that has grown up to support that next generation who are coming here to build the province. So that's why I get really passionate about it, because I think maybe as a kid I lived it. Oh, there's too many of you, too many of you, too many of you. But I also knew my dad worked 17, 18 hours a day to help build the province. So that's why we've got to get more homes built, because there's a lot of people my age who are retiring, and we need a lot of young people to come, and temporary workers to then become Canadian citizens who help us continue to build. And that's why I get really passionate about. But that's where then Billy and VJ come in. Like you also you're perceptive in that, you know, the people that are coming are skilled in different ways. You know, a lot of the Italians were bricklayers, and that's not the case anymore. So we have to transition how we build and do things so that we can actually meet this goal. And I've often told you, Logan, outside of the Italians, because I always say the Italians, the Tamil Canadians are probably one of the most successful immigrant group in such a short period of time. But look at everybody. Look at Billy, man. 2000 you came here, and now you're a member of provincial parliament. Like, it's VJ. Like, it's are these the people we want to say no to? I think these are the ones that we want to say yes to. And we got to live up to our end of the bargain. We need you here to help us build. Our end of the bargain is to let you live and attain that dream. And for a lot of them, it's home ownership, and we've got to do a better job of getting that done.
Thank you, Minister. Shannon, I need another 30 seconds. I won't take more. No, I would congratulate and my best wishes for Minister, because you are now working with my MPP, Vijay. That is for one. And secondly, because I know 20 years back, you started your career as a senior staff for the Minister Gilchrist, or Minister, who was the Minister of Municipal Affairs. From there, you learned something, and you are implementing now as a Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs. So good luck to you. Vijay, always take care of it.
All right.
Logan, I work for VJ. Don't make any confusion about it. I'm here to support him. I work for him.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Logan. Bill, I'll just go to you really quickly, and then we're going to wrap up.
Just a comment. First of all, I really want to thank Shannon for organizing, for the first time in my experience, that the government reaches out to ethnic media for this type of information conferences. That's the number one. The second comment I want to make, and I say this very sincerely, back in 82, I was the first immigrant to be an aide to a cabinet minister in Ontario. And in 1982, when I ran federally, I was the only immigrant with an accent being involved in federal politics. And I see now what a pleasure it is to see 3 cabinet ministers immigrants. Isn't this a wonderful province to live in? Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Bill. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Minister Tinagasalam and then PA Pang and then Minister Calandra to wrap up. So Minister Tinagasalam.
I'll start again. Thank you all for joining. It was a great roundtable, and thank you for playing an instrumental role in getting the message in so many languages to the people that close to the heart. And I have to say, it is an honor to be the associate minister with Minister Calandra. I used to be a volunteer, learned a lot from Minister Calandra, seen his work as a student. Again, when I was a university student in 2008, we saw the financial crisis and everyone handled across all the G7, Canada stood strong. And since then, I seen the work, and now as a young boy who came to this Canada at the age of 14, just 20 years ago, and now working with the minister I used to volunteer for as associate minister, I think this is the Canadian dream and this is the Ontario spirit. So I want to thank Minister Calandra for giving such a freedom and opportunity to go with him to all the places he goes, to access to all the meetings. Like it's an opportunity that it's a lifetime opportunity. I'm learning a lot. So I want to take this forum in front of all the ethnic medias and all the folks who have so much passion towards communities. So in front of these ethnic medias, I want to thank Minister Calandra for the mentorship, leadership, and the friendship as well. Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone from different media that you bring us the concern of your community, that a question that I think you know what your community want to ask. And the thing is, well, as you mentioned earlier, that the bill, we are first generation immigrants or second generations. So it is great that we need to bring in more people that want to contribute to Canada and also Ontario. So this is why we want to build more homes, so to accommodate them. On one hand, we support their choice coming here, and we also appreciate their contribution to our province. So it's very important that we work closely together to build better communications. So when your community has something that have any concern, you know where to find us. It's not too hard to find us. So thank you again for coming here today. And I will pass the time to Minister Calandra.
Yeah, I think my colleagues said it very, very well. Thank you all, and Bill, you make a good point. We should try to do this more often. Whenever you need us, I think we'll make ourselves available to you. I think it's a really, really good point. But thank you all for being on. It is our honor to be able to serve. That's for sure. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. I will email the recording out shortly, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.